A grandstand can look permanent long after the crowd has moved somewhere else. Its concrete steps still face the finishing post. The rail still curves around green ground. A town may have carried the name of its racecourse for generations. Then a national plan asks whether racing should continue there at all. In July 2026, New Zealand's thoroughbred and harness racing bodies released Project Stamina. Its recommendations could eventually remove racing from 7 tracks and close another 12 training or trial venues. Fewer spectators are only the surface of the story. New Zealand has so many racecourses because they were built as local gathering places in a world before easy travel, off-course betting, television, and phone apps. The buildings survived the world that made them necessary. Horse racing arrived early in organised New Zealand life. The first recorded full-scale meeting was held in Auckland in 1842. Early race days were not only rows of people studying horses, they included other sports, sideshows, food, business, and the rare chance for a scattered district to assemble in one place. The horse was already part of transport and farm work. A race did not require a community to invent a strange new machine. It turned an animal people knew into public drama. In a small settlement, the track could become a stage, a fairground, a betting room, and a town square for the day. Businesses sometimes closed because almost everybody was going. Local committees began forming racing clubs from the 1840s. By 1900, almost every town had a club and a course. That one fact explains the map Project Stamina inherited. The network did not begin as a carefully designed national system. It grew town by town. Distance gave that local model real value. A rough road and a slow journey made the nearest course important. People, horses, and equipment could not simply cross several regions for an afternoon meeting. A district needed its own place if it wanted regular racing. The course also gave local owners, trainers, breeders, and volunteers a centre around which to organise. Betting tied the whole structure together. Money placed at the course helped fund clubs, prizes, and facilities. For a long time, being present was not just the best way to feel the event. It was the legal place to make the bet. The system reached an extraordinary scale after the Second World War. There were 74 racetracks around New Zealand. Meetings were held every day except Sunday. That physical network made sense when racing held a far larger share of the country's entertainment and gambling attention. Then the bet learnt to travel. The state created the Totalisator Agency Board in 1950 to provide legal betting away from the course. Its first agencies opened in Danvik and Fielding in March 1951. A person no longer needed to stand beside a track to take part financially. The local course still carried the horses and the crowd, but one of its central functions had begun to leave the gate. The screen travelled next. Trackside television began in 1992. Later came internet accounts and betting apps. A customer could watch races from several places, compare information, and place a bet without seeing a grandstand. The event remained physical. Much of the audience became remote. This change creates a quiet infrastructure problem. A racecourse costs money even when the public stays home. Grass and track surfaces need care. Rails, stalls, drainage, buildings, power, and safety systems still need inspection and repair. Horses and racing staff need suitable spaces. Spreading limited investment across too many venues can leave each one with too little. Project Stamina is the first shared national infrastructure plan produced across New Zealand's thoroughbred and harness racing codes. The work was funded by the national betting body and prepared through an independent review. More than 50 workshops and meetings were held with clubs and industry groups. The plan argues that horse numbers, participant numbers, and the economics of racing have changed while the venue footprint remained too large. Its answer is concentration. Fewer facilities would receive more focused investment. Some would become major racing centers. Others might retain a community role only if they can meet common standards and remain financially sustainable. Training, trials, and race meetings do not always need to happen at the same place. That logic sounds tidy on a national spreadsheet. It feels different beside a local grandstand. A racecourse is usually more than its annual accounts. It may hold volunteer labor that was never priced. Families may remember holiday meetings, first jobs, or a horse trained on the back straight. The open land may be one of the last large spaces inside a growing town. Closing racing can begin a second argument about ownership, sale, housing, recreation, or another public use. The industry has therefore described the recommendations as a beginning, not a final order. Affected clubs are to be consulted. Business cases and local conditions still matter. Implementation could take years. A line on the plan does not itself close a gate or sell a property. There is also a danger in telling the story as simple decline. New Zealand still breeds internationally successful horses. Large meetings can still gather crowds. Racing supports trainers, riders, stable staff, veterinarians, transport businesses, broadcasters, and rural communities. The question is not whether the activity exists. It is how much physical network that activity can support. That is why the old map matters. If almost every town once needed its own course, closing one can feel like removing a piece of local identity. If modern customers can watch and bet from anywhere, maintaining every inherited facility can drain the places where horses still race most often. Both statements can be true. Project Stamina is really a test of whether an institution can honor its history without paying to repeat the geography of 1900. The right number of tracks is not hidden in nostalgia, and it is not automatically the smallest possible number. It depends on horses, people, safe surfaces, travel, money, and the value communities place on the land. When an old local facility faces closure, look beyond the empty seats. Ask which past need built it. Ask where that need went. The racecourse did not suddenly become too large. The distance between the crowd and the track disappeared.